fantastic match. One of the top players in the world was just complimenting you. Said she never saw a player come in the net so much in her entire career. We'll get to that, but first off, to watch your emotions out on your on-court interview was really moving, and clearly a lot went into what you were able to do today. If you could just talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of familiar faces in here. It's been like a really long journey, and just, you flood with emotions of the things that you've been through, positive, negative, and just to be able to like get over that hump, like it's such an amazing feeling. Just because, like, I mean, after Wimbledon, like I was devastated after I lost to Burton's after having a match point. I mean, that like woke me up out of my sleep. I was like, oh, drop shot. Like, so I put my head down and just worked really hard and just tried to like take the positives away from it and just continue to like press forward. And I think for so long, that's been kind of like my whole thing, is just continue to press forward and just realize that like I belong on this level. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of people that have doubted, me being able to like break through, quote unquote, and, it's just confirmation more for myself that like I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right things, and you keep your head down, you keep working, and you see what happens.
And how about that going for broke kind of attitude? I mean, she said she played you before.
Mm-hmm.
You were really kind of a different player out there today. Talk about that kind of go for broke, have nothing to lose, especially against a top player.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought like I've played her 3 other times, so it wasn't like it was any mystery like going into the match. And then obviously she's coming off of a lot of confidence. She won Wimbledon. She's very match tough. So, I mean, honestly, like I said on court, I feel like a lot of the times when I was playing her, I played like not to lose, And a player like that, she's just way too solid, has had so much experience that's not going to fly. So, I mean, I was just like, what do you have to lose? I was like, I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to do like what I do best and where I'm the most comfortable, which is at the net. And I won a lot of points. I lost points. I lost big points, but I was rewarded in the end. So that's what was most satisfying.
When did you make that decision that you were going to play serve and volley and chip and charge tennis? Was it last night?
No. I don't think someone could do that overnight, to be honest. No offense, but like, no, I mean, I've always like came to the net. I've always like, ever since I started playing tennis, I was always more comfortable at the net than the baseline. I mean, when I was growing up, my sister was like a Bam Bam, so she hit super, super hard, but like so solid from the ground. But me, I was always doing like weird stuff. I was like chipping like middle shots in the forehand side. Like I was just doing crazy stuff, but it was like what I enjoyed doing. So I always enjoy coming to the net, but it's always a fine line, and especially as you move up and through the levels that, you have to kind of hone in and have things that you do well. You have strengths, but like you have to be solid from a certain point because these players are just too good and the level only gets higher. So I think it was really great confirmation that, this style of play works and that I can continue to do it.
I think you mentioned something in just your first answer about sort of overcoming doubters you had. A lot of athletes sort of say that as a cliche, and sometimes they're real, sometimes they're not, but for you they were very real. People who were saying that you weren't ready to do things, that you couldn't do things. And so just how has it been sort of fighting that off over the last 7, 8 years?
Yeah.
What's been going on, even in public that we've heard about it, and just how you said ever affected you? Have you ever let that get to you, and how do you sort of...
Yeah, I mean, it's never easy because I think, as a lot of you guys know, like I've dealt with kind of a lot of like personal stuff in the media light. So it's really hard to deal with that kind of stuff like when, personal issues are like publicized, because you have to make it up in your mind of like how you deal with that. And then that's always attached to you. So, you have to kind of maneuver through those things. And yeah, I mean, it's been a long road. I mean, a lot of haters, a lot of just people who weren't sure. I mean, I've heard it for a really long time that I was never going to make it, that I wasn't going to, be able to break through or do this or do that. And times when you were close and you never quite got over it, it's always the word talented or something like that. And for me, like I've, especially over this last year, I've just kind of like tried to really embrace that, like thriving in these kind of conditions, like being able to prove people wrong. And I've always been that way, but I think that I suppressed that side of me for a long time, and I've just embraced it and been like, this is the person that I am. And, you know, I love it. And I thrive in these kind of conditions, and I think that it showed today.
How much do you balance that against, because at the same time, you're a player that people love watching.
Mhm.
You always express that from when you were a junior.
Mhm.
People root for you, you know, like the tweets are blowing up in terms of just, you know, fans
Mhm.
being incredibly happy for you. So how do you kind of balance like that kind of positivity of people want you, or rooting for you,
Right.
against the haters and the negativity that I know that you do feel?
Yeah. Well, I actually went on a like social media sabbatical for like a year and a half, and because I was just tired of it, and I didn't really know why it was bothering me, but I just was like, I can't do this anymore. But then I got back on, and I think it was more growth, like in myself, and just saying like, when are you ever gonna meet these people? Like, never. You know what I mean? And like realizing that the things that people say like don't matter. It's about how you feel about yourself and how you feel going out on that court. Like anything that anyone has to say, it literally is null and void. And I truly believe that from like the bottom of my heart now. Like you can say it, and a lot of people say it and like talk the talk but don't walk the walk, you know what I mean? And for me, I truly believe that. Like I know where I stand, like I know who I am, I know what makes me tick, and going along with that. And like I said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you dust yourself off and you keep going.
There's always conversations every year about the next generation of U.S. women's tennis players. Do you feel like you've been overlooked in recent years in that conversation?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, that conversation doesn't really matter to me because it's an ever-evolving door. You know, anytime that someone has one good result or two good results, like, they're the next. You know what I mean? And so it was like, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. I don't know. But it doesn't matter because I'm here now.
Taylor, all the answers you're giving, it sounds like a woman who's just comfortable in her own skin and who you are as a person and as a tennis player. This obviously being the biggest match win of your career, does that mean now for you, in your mind going forward, this is the player that you've always known you can be and what you're going to see, what we're going to see from you going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be very dumb to not do it. I'm just going to say it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's growth. You know, I'm 23. Like some of you guys I've known literally since I was 15, 16 years old. It's insane. But it's just growth, like as a person. And I think that like that's the beauty of this sport, that you can watch people from such a young age and kind of develop as people and as players. And for me, like, you know, I've just evolved. And like I said, I've always been this person, but I think for some years I was lost, you know, and lost in a sea of a lot of stuff. But you know, it's nice to be able to come up to the surface and float and eventually swim.
You said you know who you are. Who are you?
That's a deep question. Who are you? I don't really think we need to get into that, but I mean, that's more personal. But, you know, like I said, I'm comfortable with who I am and the person that I've become. I mean, I think that we can all look back from the time that I was 15 or 16 to now when I'm like wearing 45,000 bracelets on my wrist and bows and braces to like now. I think, you know, it's a huge transformation. But I mean, in terms of a player, you know, I just feel like this was a huge monumental moment, and it was a very defining moment for me to realize that I belong here.
Question about scheduling. You tend to play only in the States and only abroad, you know, like the tournament before Slam. Curious why that is and if you plan to continue doing that.
You meant this summer?
Just like this year, mostly.
Oh, well, no, I mean, honestly, tennis is just about like, you know, getting matches, but I'm a logic person, and I try to follow things that make sense, not just because it's what everyone does or because it's routine. And I think that, you know, that's really how a lot of people are conditioned, and I'm just not that way. Like, I don't have a whole bunch of sponsors knocking down my door, giving me money. So a lot of this stuff is coming out of my pocket. So I have to be very financially smart with where I go and where I travel and what makes sense. Just because, this is a very expensive sport. And I think that a lot of people don't really see that side of it. And so for me, like, I have to go and do things that are financially advantageous. Is it smart to go to Europe for 12 weeks in qualies where you make $900 if you lose first round and your flight was $3,000 to get there? You can do the math.
Yeah, we love you playing doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the plan in terms of doubles, female and mixed doubles?
Here, I'm not playing mix. I was, but I am scheduled to play a tournament next week. So I told the guy that I was going to be playing with that I just felt really bad that I was could commit and then possibly have to pull out. I'm just not that kind of person. And he's a doubles player. So I was I feel like it's fair to you to give yourself the best opportunity to do as well as you can for someone that's fully invested and doesn't have to be somewhere the following week, if you do well. And doubles, I'm playing with Whitney Osigwe, so I'm super excited about that. We planned this for a long time, and I played her 3 times this summer, and so I'm excited. She's a really good player, and I like her dad and all the people. She has good vibes, so I'm excited to be on the court with her.
And can I just ask quickly?
Yeah.
Althea Gibson's statue that's been unveiled this week. Just your thoughts on the unveiling.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, I think it's finally, her time to shine. You know what I mean? She's done so much. She did so much for the sport and was so influential, especially for African-American athletes, female or male. And I think that finally, she's getting the recognition that she deserves of being as much of a pioneer as she was. So, I mean, I didn't go to the unveiling because I'm pretty sure I had a play or practice or something like that. But like I said, I was passing by it every day during qualies. I actually stopped and looked at it and really kind of admired how beautiful it was and just take a minute to appreciate what it really meant.
Speaking of your game, if we rewind back to when you were 15
Mm-hmm.
and playing, in a lot of ways you kind of spearheaded this new, going to the net, playing with more variety, being a little bit smarter in terms of the tactics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forwarding on, we see players like Andreescu, we see last night McNally was chipping and charging in the net, Ash. Do you see this kind of wave that even Shu Wei Shea, who's older, but do you see this?
I love
wave?
the way she plays. It's awesome.
Yeah. So but I mean, for a long time, the book on women's tennis has been bang bang.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But it seems like there's a shift happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think there have always been those few players that could do it. But like I said, a lot of people sometimes do things because that's how they feel they're supposed to do it. There's a certain tradition and routine and this and that and this and that. And, like I said, this is an individual sport. So you have to find, I think that's the beauty of it. And, finding the right coach and the right team is that understanding you as a person and what works for you, not necessarily what everybody else does, but you can go along and kind of see and use that as a template, but really what works for you. And yeah, I mean, Ash, I have seen her right now. We played juniors, she was 1 year older, but still, I mean, she always kind of had that variety, and I loved watching her play. And Sue Wei, she's her hands are ridiculous. But yeah, it's always fun just because it gives something different and something that, people can look forward to, that it's not just going to be the same kind of thing. And not knocking any of those people because clearly it works. But, to each their own, which is amazing.
Last 3, keep them short, bend, 1, 2, 3. Bend.
How did playing qualifying here, you think, set you up for this? Did it light a fire under you, give you more confidence?
Yeah, it was, I definitely had a fire lit under my ASS. I was super pumped just because, the last time I played here, I qualied, lost to Wozniacki, in a really tough match, 6-4 in the third, could have won easily, not easily, but, it could have went either way. And, yeah, I mean, I kind of went into qualifying, on a mission, I'm doing this. I had my head down, I'm going to do this. And I think, like I said, it always gives you a lot of confidence to be able to pull out 3 matches in a row and earn your spot in the main draw. Nobody gave it to you. you earned your way there. And I think that's a really satisfying feeling. And then being able to have 3 matches versus other people playing their first match. So you've kind of battled through things that they're just feeling, first match of a slam and stuff like that. So it does give you a lot of confidence. I'm not saying that I want to do it every slam, but it's definitely nice to be able to have that accomplishment and to be able to pat myself on the back and say you did that.
Last 2, 1, 2.
You mentioned the tough times you went through. Who were the people you had to lean on to get you through the hump, to get you through those tough times?
Well, I don't really like people in my business, so I'm not gonna name names. But definitely like my immediate family, like these 2 girls over here in the corner, like were amazing. Sometimes, you say friends or family, some of my family gave me a headache. I'm not even gonna lie. So, sometimes having extended family and people that you're not related to, but you have built relationships with and kind of can see things from an outside perspective, like it's always really healthy. So, just my friends and people that I've been around, I actually like cut a lot of people off and made my circle extremely small, and that's how I like it. And I realized that that's one thing that I enjoy. So I think shout out to the small circle.
Next question.
Yeah, just, to segue a bit, you, obviously a lot of what you've been talking about, both on court and here, is evolving your game and growing your game. Simona said that you had reached out to her in Miami for some advice. Do you remember what that advice was? And also, has it been part of your sort of modus operandi to talk to top accomplished players and try to learn from them?
Well, like my heart was beating through my chest, like when I talked to her, because I'm not that kind of person at all. Like, that's just not anything that I would do. But something like inside of me was like nudging me to just like ask her, because she had just like kicked my ass in in Miami, and so I was like screw it, like let's see what she felt on the other side of the net. Like I know what I felt, but I just was curious to see what she felt. And she gave me some good advice. Honestly, she didn't really tell me anything I didn't know, but it was good to hear it from another player and someone that I had just played and had played a couple of times. And especially someone who is at such a high level and has accomplished so much. So I don't know why I did it, but I did it. And, it kind of stuck with me. And I'm not saying that like everything that she said I implemented into my training, but it was definitely in the back of my head to remember like what she said and also remember like why I asked, like what drove me to ask that question and kind of that hunger and desire to get better. So I think I kind of turned that into more of a positive to say, hey, like you can continue to learn and grow.
Did it help you today?
No.